Hello, everyone. Welcome to Measure by the Cross. My name is Tony Jameson. I'm going to be your host. This is a new podcast I've been trying out with some TikTok videos and some different things going on there just to try to get the feel of being seen again because I have been out of the religious Christianity limelight for a very long time and decided that I was not going to follow God. I'm going to go into a little bit of that. I want to do a little bit of my story and how I got where I am today. I hope I don't bore you. I really hope I don't. Now, just for context, I am doing this out of my bedroom for right now while I'm getting my studio all set up. So this right now is going to have to be the best that I can do, or is the best that I can do at the moment. So I hope that you will bear with me. I hope that you'll be patient and stick with me while we work through this work in progress of trying to get it set up for this podcast and for different videos on YouTube and such, even on Spotify. I want to do this. I want to set this up on Spotify as well. So there's a lot that I'm wanting to do, a lot that I don't know what I'm going to be able to do, but I got up this morning and I was starting to pull my laptop out and start looking for another job. Not that I don't like the one that I have now. It but it's not a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's not a lot of money. And so I really want more money. That's what I'd like to be doing. But then I felt God speak to my heart and he said, seek me first. That's the verse that came to my mind. Seek me first. So seek first the kingdom of God, and then all these things shall be added unto you. I have full faith that God's going to take care of me, that I'm not going to go hungry. Looks like I could probably go and miss a few meals anyways. So I get that. Probably going to get a lot of fat jokes. Before any of you start coming at me, I already know about my looks. I do brush my teeth every day. I know what I look like. So yeah, you can make all the fat comments you want. I don't care. You're not going to hurt me. I'm 53 years old and been through enough that a few insults, roasts, and jokes are not going to bother me. So feel free to come at me. Comments are always welcome. I just simply ask that we keep the negativity to a minimum for sure. And then also, I do want to make sure that we are also keeping any vulgar language or threats out of comments towards each other or the threads, any of the threads. Please don't threaten me either. I would prefer to not have to endure all of that. But I welcome feedback. I welcome theological debate. I welcome comments, questions, anything that you might want to throw at me or anyone else that might be joining in any of the comments. You're more than welcome to bring that to the table, because I feel like that, like Charlie Kirk said, the moment that we stop, the moment that we stop talking and the moment that we stop listening to each other's dialogue, then we fail. And so even whenever it comes to religion, I've talked to a lot of people I've talked to some that we have noticed the lack of theological debate. And when I talk about debate, I'm talking about exchanging of ideas, not yelling and screaming at each other. I don't believe that that's anything that God intended for us to do. I understand passionate debate. I understand passionate ideas, passionate whatever you want to call it. I do understand that. So, like I said, I'm willing to have these theological discussions anytime, anywhere, any place, as long as it remains civil. I was at a church one time and I heard the pastor. The pastor said to me one time, he said, a lot of what all these people want to do is they just want to talk theology. Well, that's kind of like, uh, you know, an old heart surgeon saying we don't have to listen to the new heart surgeons, or there's no point in us older doctors trying to learn anything new, because that's, all that stuff is, way out, way too new. We know what we're doing, right? So bear with me. The nectar of the gods, caffeine. I have to have it. Preferably a flat white from Starbucks with 6 blonde shots. That's what I like to have. All right, so let's talk a little bit about why I'm doing what I'm doing. That was almost 5 minutes of me just ranting and raving, and I appreciate you enduring if you've gotten this far. But let me go ahead and do this. So I was born in 1973. And I was born to a single mom who was struggling with a lot of mental illness. I know that explains a lot with me as well. But was struggling with a lot of mental illness. And over the years, I started to realize that this has been a situation that has come up for our family, not just our family. It was something that our entire family just about struggled with. Some worse than others. But I've noticed it over the years that just about every single family that I've ever talked to has had some kind of issues going on with their lives in the form of a mental illness, whether it be depression or just complete on the spectrum of whatever. But anyways, needless to say, or I've said that to say this, mom gave me up for adoption whenever I was 18 months old. She was willing to give me up to just anybody and everybody that came through. But my grandma and grandpa, my granny and grandpa, on her mom and dad, because I never knew my dad. She never was interested in me knowing him or anything like that. I don't know that the man even knows that I'm alive, to be completely honest with you. I really honestly don't. But neither here nor there. I know who he is. I'm hesitant about reaching out to him this late in the game because I just for up until just a couple of years ago, I just never really knew for sure who he was. All right, so back to my story. We're going to fast forward past all the school years because we already know how that is. It's just full of emotions and hormones and growth spurts, and it was. I had a lot of fun, but I look back, I had a lot of heartache too. My hard for me to even talk about on some things because I don't even think about it until a setting like this, whenever I'm sitting down thinking about a lot of the things that I went through whenever I was a kid. My grandmother, who in her later life was a very dear woman to me, but whenever I was younger, would lie to my grandfather just so that he would whip us. And that's a morbid thought, but that is exactly the way things were, and that's the way things happen a lot of times. Growing up, me and my cousins all know. Some of my cousins all know what we went through because they went through the exact same thing. But anyways, now we're going to fast forward to 1994. Um, let's see, no, it'd be 93, 92 or 93. Met a girl from the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, and thought I should get married. I thought that would be the right thing to do because I was struggling with homosexuality. And I'm not saying that I'm not tempted now either. The devil comes at me hard every single day, all the time. And all I can do is pray and resist his temptations. But at the same time, the devil also tempts me with another try at marriage with a female, and that's not going to happen either. So I'm stuck in this conundrum of being literally only married to God. He's all I have. He's all I've ever had. My marriage of 15 years was a complete wreck. It was, man, I really honestly don't even know how to talk about it because I really honestly thought getting married was going to fix me. And I heard something today about a guy said, "Hey, I thought, when I got married, it would fix my pornography addiction. And it didn't." He said, in his mind, he was like, "Oh, well, I can have sex anytime I want to. I can be with whoever I want to, whenever I want to, however I want to, and or be with my wife," is what he meant. I can be with my wife anytime I want to, and I can we can have sex anytime we want to, and that's going to fix my addiction to pornography, and it did it. And growing up in the church the way that I did, having such a hard stance against homosexuality the way that it did, I thought by me getting married that would fix it. And it was something that I'd struggled with my entire life. I mean, I don't really honestly remember much of a time in my life that I did not have a same-sex attraction. That's probably going to turn a lot of people off in the Christian world, uh, because they expect people from the pulpit to only be straight. Newsflash, they're not. As a matter of fact, the pulpit here as of late has been littered with a lot of really bad characters. Needless to say, That's not what God intended. God doesn't want anyone to be dealing from the pulpit and have sexual immorality in their life. And so, what I've decided to do is abstain from everybody, from everything, from any type of sexual um, desires at all, because I can't afford it. Because heaven means everything to me. Okay. Now I'm getting a little bit sidetracked because I wanted to tell you a little bit more about myself and why I am where I am today. So after 15 years of marriage and a complete disaster, I decided to end it. I decided to divorce my wife at the time and just move on because I was sick of fighting two fronts, her and the temptation that I had. And the temptation that I had was easier to deal with than fighting with her, because fighting with her, it was a long, long battle. And I wasn't the best husband either. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that I was not the best husband. But with that being said, there came a point in my life in our marriage when I did try. I did everything that I knew to do. I did every single thing that the church said I needed to do to make it right. I needed to be the only breadwinner. I needed to be the one taking care of the household on everything. She got disability, but for the most part, I was expected to carry the load. And so got to the point where I was expected to not only carry the financial load, I was also expected to carry the financial load of some of her nieces and nephews. And I am not casting any dispersion on that at all. I love those babies. They are good kids. I enjoyed having them in the home, but their mother did not want to help in any way whatsoever. She just wanted to kind of go out and do what she wanted to do when she wanted to do it with whomever she wanted to do it with. And trust me when I say she did just that. Okay. So I would leave. And back then I was pretty heavy. And I've always been heavy, but I was going to say I was heavy in the gym, but I can't. I mean, I was going to the gym a lot. I was going to the gym at least 5 days a week. Um, I was dropping weight. I was starting to feel better, look better, and everything. And so I was getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, being at the gym early enough to get an hour, a 45-minute cardio in, and 45 minutes to an hour of weightlifting in, and then shower, get ready, and go to work. Get off by 5, be at home by 6. And then I would have to not only clean house, but then I would also have to cook dinner and cook enough dinner that it would cover that night and then lunch for tomorrow because she didn't cook. So I had to make sure the kids were fed too. And again, I'm leaving out a lot of my stuff just simply because there's way too much for me to cover. I was not a good husband. I'm just going to leave that out there. I was not a good husband at all. And I get that. And I fully acknowledge my part of what we did. I'm just trying to get to the point of how I got where I am today. So, anyways, I started working for a cell phone company in Tulsa, Oklahoma in their financial services department. And I ended up meeting some friends that were out in the community, in the LGBT community, and I started to feel more comfortable around myself and what I was struggling with at the time. And so fighting at home, struggling with same-sex attractions, and I finally just decided this battle over here is much easier than the one at home. I was just done. I couldn't do anymore. I didn't know what else to do. And so I left. And the day I left, we woke up early in the morning. I was having to get ready for work. She was mad at me for whatever reason again that day. And I said, can we do this whenever I get home? I'd really like to, whenever I get home this evening, I'd really like to have a good day at work. Can we not do this right now? And she kept on and kept on. And I said, look, if you say one more word, I am going to pack a bag. I'm going to walk out that door and I will never look back. And the next words out of her mouth was, I don't remember, just something negative, something just like cat claws and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm done. So I packed a bag and I left. Never looked back. I left so many things behind, so many valuable memories, so many things, but I didn't care. I was done. I had zero desire to go through another single day of that. And so I left. And that was in 2000, but that was August of 2008. We she filed for divorce. We divorced in 2009. The divorce was finalized January 2009. She had met someone else, and I was never more happy for her in my entire life than when she found somebody new. Trust me, because I couldn't do it. I just could not do it anymore. So, sitting on the side of my bed, I had thrown away my Bible, all my preaching material, all my sermons, and I had some gold nuggets that God had given me. I had some really, really good ones. I threw it all away. All my commentaries, everything just went into the trash because I had zero intentions of ever coming back to God again. I was done. I knew what I was facing. I knew I was facing hell, and I didn't care at that time. I was literally, literally done with pretending. I was done with fighting. I was done with struggling. I was done struggling in that area. I still struggled. I've always struggled my whole life with different things, but I was done struggling with that. And so, anyways, I left God and just had, like I said, had zero desire to do anything with the church at all. I knew how the church felt about me. I knew how the church felt about my situation. And there was some things looking back. I could have left her. I could have divorced her and hid my same sex attraction, hid it a secret. Should have. Now that I think about it, should have, and I could have stayed in church as long as I wasn't, as long as I was willing to stay celibate. The church wouldn't have minded that part so much. They hate divorce, they do, but they also understand sometimes it happens. What happens with consequences is what happens after the divorce. The church that I grew up in, which was Free Holiness, long hair, short sleeve, or long hair, no short sleeves, long hair for the women, no makeup, no jewelry, no TVs, long sleeves. It didn't matter what time of year it was or what the temperature was outside. It was literally long sleeves. I'm going to turn the, okay. Anyways, had to get rid of a distraction. Y'all, excuse me. I'm so sorry. And I know this is going on a lot longer than maybe than what you wanted to realize. But again, I'm just trying to get my feelings back into being in the podcast, being on video, or being in front of an audience again. And I wanted to tell a little bit about this so you kind of understand where I'm coming from. So again, long story short, I left God. I've been gone now. As of this podcast, it is now 2026. It is August the 5th, 2026. And I've been away from God for a long time. I've been back in church now for a little while. I've been back praying and seeking God and trying to do a lot better than I was, for sure. For sure. I'm definitely not where I was. I promise you that. I'm not where God wants me just yet, but I am a long ways away from where I used to be. And so that's why I'm where I am right now in front of you, because I've prayed and I've sought the Lord, and I've asked him, what would be the direction that you would like for me to go? Where would you like for me to be? And there's been a lot of messages, a lot of podcast ideas that have come to me, and I'm like, man, I just don't know. And even today, before doing this today, I've thought, man, Lord, are you serious? Is this really the direction that you want me to go? Is this really what you want me to do? Is this where you need me to be? And I believe it is. I really do honestly believe it is. I've got some ideas. I've got some things going on. I've got some ways that I want to lead us and direct us to doing better, seeking God. The whole purpose of this being called Measure by the Cross is so that we measure our lives not by our circumstances. Because if I was going to measure my life by my circumstances, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I would be dead. I would probably be in a grave somewhere had I let if God had let me go the direction that I wanted to go. And so now that I'm where I am now, I've stopped measuring God's love by my circumstances. And I really want us to get to that point where we're not looking at our circumstances and being, wow, just how did I get here? Why am I here? Why am I going through this? I want us to get through our life. I want us to get through our situations and think, man, if I can just cling to the cross, if I can just hold As the old timers used to say, if I could hold fast to the right, if I'll live a holy life, shun the wrong, and do the right, I know the Lord will make a way for me. There's no song that says that. And I truly, honestly believe that I don't care where you are in life. I don't care what your circumstances are. I don't care anything about what sin you've done or what sin you're committing right now. All I care anything about is where we go from today. From this point on, where do we go? And I want us to start seeking God more. I want us to start seeking God better. I want us to start reading the Bible more. And when I say us, I'm including me. There's a lot of Christians out there. Oh, well, I watch podcasts, or oh, I watch, I watch a lot of Josh Howerton. I love Josh. I think Brother Josh is great. I mean, I do. His podcast that he does, I just absolutely love. And that's the kind of podcast I dream of having someday. The type of podcast that brings a lot of theology to life, that brings people closer to Christ. If I can get this thing as big as Joe Rogan or Sean Ryan, but on a religious level, then I will consider myself extremely blessed. I will be thankful. I'll give all praise and glory to God for that. But what I want us to do is I want us to come together as Christians. I want us to learn from each other. I want us to love one another. I want us to love the world, but at the same time, be bold and standing up for the right. So, with that being said, I want to say thank you for joining in. And if you made it this far, I hope that you will like and share all of my videos. Excuse me. I am so sorry about all that. I will try to edit that out if I can. Like I said, I'm doing some new things here. But anyways, with that being said, stop measuring your circumstances or God's love for you by the circumstances that you're facing. I want you to learn to measure God's love by the cross. And when you look on that old rugged cross that was on Calvary, and you see a battered, torn, and tortured Savior, naked, without a friend in this world, but yet he still cared enough to die for me, die for you, and on the third day be risen from the grave. All right, again, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being part of the podcast. I hope you'll like and share. Until the next time, may the Lord richly bless you and your family. You have a great day.